If it's Tuesday, that means the Team 53 Late Model Summer Shootout is racing tonight from Slingshot Racing League. Welcome, everybody. I'm Ellis Thomas, joined in the booth tonight by Chris Smith. We're bringing you live racing action in the late model stock cars from Five Flags Speedway for the Apex Energy 200. Nestled in the low country of Pensacola, Florida, Five Flags is actually the oldest half-mile track in America, and it hosts every year one of short tracks racing's most prestigious events, the Snowball Derby. Since 1968, racers from around the country have made their way south in the winter for the Florida sun and the warmth of race cars. Due to the track layout and the highly banked turns, Five Flags is an extremely fast track. With that speed comes high tire degradation, only made worse by its highly abrasive racing surface. Chris, fun trivia. We're both history teachers, but the track got its name from actually the city of Pensacola's name, the city of Five Flags. Over the past several hundred years, the city's actually been controlled by 5 countries, including Spain, France, Britain, the Confederacy, and the United States. Despite that fun fact, however, only one driver is going to control the race when the checkered flag flies at the end of the evening. So talk to us a little bit about what they're going to have to do to be in that position tonight. We've raced once last week in our preseason clash here, 100 laps. What makes tonight a little bit different than what we saw last week?
Well, you have 50 more laps around this track, and there are points on the line this week. And, you don't have many opportunities to gain points in a short, just 6-week series. So our drivers are going to be looking to try to take advantage and try to get as much as they can out here tonight. This is a tough old track. You talked about the history surrounding the Pensacola area, but this track is synonymous with this part of Florida. It's a half-mile track, just 15 degrees of banking. There's a significant trouble spot that we're going to talk about here in just a minute. The drivers are going to have 3 sets of tires tonight for the 150 laps that we have. And one of the trouble spots that we saw last week was coming off of turn 4. There is no line to distinguish between the racing groove and the apron of the track. And so drivers are going to have to be very, very cognizant, be very, very aware of that as they're trying to navigate around all the traffic tonight, and also to try to come out with the checkered flag at the end of this thing.
Absolutely, and you mentioned the drivers trying to come out with the win this evening. Let's take a look at some of the stories we're going to be following tonight. First one is who's going to make a statement. We saw Evan Pienta come out and win the Clash last week. What's the importance of this driver coming out and winning the very first race? If you're, a competitor in a series, what kind of message does that send to everybody else?
Well, it just lets everybody know that, number one, you're going to be a driver to be reckoned with during the season, and number two, that, you yourself can get the job done. And, Evan's a confident driver anyway, so I suspect that he's going to be up on the wheel tonight and looking to make it 2 in a row and pick up his first points win of the season. All the drivers are going to be super aggressive, as we mentioned, because of just what type of track this is and what type of characteristics it forces a driver to show in order to be successful here.
Absolutely, and one of the things that viewers are going to notice as we watch the race unfold tonight and the 5 subsequent weeks coming up during the summer is that you're going to see probably a little bit more driver aggression or aggressive racing than we've seen maybe in your typical oval series. Why does it take a little bit more to make those passes at short tracks like this in these late model stock cars?
Well, everybody's just really, really close as far as lap time is concerned, and these cars have a ton of grip in them, so you don't see much fall off as far as one driver to the next. And so it just rewards people who are very, very aggressive and are on the chip from the drop of the green flag. So I suspect that you're going to see guys who are super aggressive and are attack every lap be very successful this season.
Yeah, and you had mentioned that, we saw Ryan Jones have a little bit of problems last week when he was in the lead coming off of turn 4. Drivers are going to be very careful about that spot, not to hit the apron. That car is going to get loose, and the tendency is to slide out of 4, and we saw that cause some calamity last week. We'll be on the lookout for that as well. Only 6 races to get the job done. This is a short summer series. every week matters. There are no drop weeks. So drivers are going to have to be consistent if they're going to find themselves up at the top of the point standings at the season's end, in at the end of July, Chris. So right now, qualifying has begun. You're seeing a couple cars on the track right now. What we're going to do is we're going to shift to a slingshot pre-race tradition here. We're going to play the Star Spangled Banner, and that will lead us into the end of qualifying, where we'll set the grid for the start of the Apex Energy 150 here at Five Flags Speedway. We'll catch you on the other end. All right, you are looking live at Five Flags Speedway in Pensacola as Ryan Jones making his qualifying run. Qualifying has just about a minute left in it. We're going to see where these drivers are going to stack up. But before we do that, Ryan, by the way, we'll point out that Ryan is from Pensacola, Florida, so this is a home racetrack for Ryan. Adds a little bit of incentive, Chris, I think, every time, even on iRacing and kind of a virtual racing setting. Drivers kind of have a particular soft spot in their heart for that home racetrack that they would like to grab a win on. I know for me particular, it'd probably be Talladega. Easy, and that's probably good for me because that's probably about the only track I could win at. But I don't know how you feel about that, but I know Ryan probably really looking forward to tonight's race.
Yeah, I know he is, and he's got a special paint scheme in honor of this being a home race for him. And yeah, you always want to do well at your home race, and hopefully tonight, we'll see Ryan up near the front of this thing and battling it out for the win. As if you look at the scoring pylon up at the top of the screen there, you'll notice that it's a 1-2 for Payday Racing, and Evan Pienta is teaming up with Payday Racing this season. So that's a really, really good showing for them as they sweep the top three positions.
Yeah, absolutely. Qualifying come to a close here, and Johnny Rapp, our past season's truck champion, is going to be starting on the pole. And as you mentioned, Ryan Jones, that Pensacola native home track, is going to be starting to the outside in second place as we begin to look at our Apex Energy starting lineup. And we mentioned Johnny Rapp on the pole. We've got a new pole award this season. The Evan Pienta Designs pole award goes to the fastest lap of the race. And all of these drivers at the end of the season are going to be entered in to win a free custom paint scheme from Evan. So congratulations to Johnny Rapp on winning that. And check out Evan Pienta Designs on Instagram to see kind of the stuff he's able to cook up. He's a really talented designer. Starting third, as we mentioned, Evan Pienta. Fourth, Slingshot newcomer James Ray in that 01 car. Inside of the third row is going to be Patrick Colby, a Slingshot regular, as well as Scotty Sobczak, the runner-up in the Apex Energy Cup Series season just last season, season 3. Kenneth Gallman is going to be starting 7th, followed by James Suggs on the outside. Tony Caputo starting 9th, joined by Matt Kuntz to his outside. Josh Ward starting in the 11th slot. Nick DeCesare to his outside in the 00 Taylor Swift paint scheme. Larry Gibson, slingshot newcomer, is going to be starting 13th. Lee Campbell, 14th car, just like last week, is going to be starting in the 14th slot this week. Slingshot newcomer Jordan Ives in that number 11. We'll be keeping our eye on him, as we will that purple machine of Clint Walker starting 16th in that 02. Daniel Berg will start 17th, and Brandon Waldrop going to be starting 18th. Bringing up the rear, but I'm sure, based on some speed we saw from him practice, he will not be staying there too long. So starting grid is set. We are waiting for these drivers to roll, for everyone to grid here, and we should be rolling in just a moment. Chris, any last-minute thoughts, advice you would give to these drivers in the first 5 to 10 laps of this race?
This is the best time of the race to pass, to make passes. And so for me personally, this is probably the time, especially with these cars, that I would probably be the most aggressive. It's really, really difficult when everybody's running as close to full throttle as they are here in these cars and with these Team 53 setups. It's really hard to make passes with everybody running close to the same speed. So this would be the time where I think I would be the most aggressive personally, and I would try to make as much ground as I could on this start.
Absolutely, and they're going to be doing that, hopefully, in just about a lap as the pace truck pulls around to start across the start-finish line. 1 lap until we go green here. Johnny Rapp, Rye Jones looking to kick off the start of this Team 53 Summer Shootout season. Lots of prize money on the line, an amazing trophy on the line, which we'll highlight a little bit later, but doesn't look like gas is going to be an issue tonight. Fuel should not be an issue if we get at least 1 caution, and hey, I think it's a fair bet that we might see at least 1 caution over the course of 150 laps. Pace truck is getting ready to pull off here. Johnny Rapp going to lead him to the line. Green flag is out. That 52 machine takes him across the line to start the Apex Energy 150 here from 5 Flag Speedway. Rye Jones, the Florida native, already have to deal with Evan Pienta to the inside. They're looking to see if he can make a run towards the front, doing exactly what you mentioned, Chris, being aggressive on those opening laps, because these are some of the best opportunities drivers are going to have to pass. Right now, Johnny single file, Evan behind him. Third is Rye Jones. James Ray is in 4th. Scotty Sobczak moved up a position into 5th place, but he's dealing with Patrick Colby on the inside right now. Those are your top 6 as they run. Kenneth Gallman 7th, James Suggs in 8th, and everyone for the most part is looking like they have got it single file, but oof, there are some battles on track. You could stick a sheet of paper between these guys. The biggest battle I'm looking at right now, I believe, is Josh Ward. Josh Ward. Contact with, I believe that was Tony Caputo, but Ward hangs on to make the save in that blue and yellow 92 machine. I think we all held our breath there, including the driver in that number 92 late model stock car, Chris.
Yeah, and contact like that is contact that you're just going to get used to this season. It's going to happen. Running this close together on these short, small tracks like this, you're going to see that side-to-side contact, and this is, at a point probably where you just need to keep your emotions in check and realize, hey, everybody's trying the very best that they can. Everybody's running super close together, and you're going to have some incidental contact. You might even have some purposeful contact later, but, these drivers, they've run enough of these races, and they understand what they have to do. The biggest thing right now is probably just trying to get familiar with each other. They're probably familiar with the car. They're probably familiar with the track, but they're not familiar with what each other's going to do. You might have a driver who attacks more on corner entry, and you might have a driver that's a little bit more conservative on corner entry out there, as we see the 01 of James Ray approaching the rear bumper of the 91 of Rye Jones.
Yeah, James Ray, again, get really close to the back bumper of that 91 car. One of the things I do think is important to note is you're right about getting to learn these drivers, because especially as the run goes on and tires become more of a factor, you're going to see some of these guys maybe get into the corners a little bit easier, a little bit more gingerly than they had towards the beginning of a run, and drivers are going to have to be aware of that. So tonight, that is a kind of a wild card. You don't know necessarily the drivers that you're out on the track with in a lot of cases. So glad you mentioned that. One thing I want to mention is in the chat right now, we've got a fan of Kenneth Gallman in the 71. Well, good news for that fan, Honey Badger, as Kenneth is running in the 7th position in that number 71. He's looking pretty comfortable right now. A little bit loose off the corner. He's going to have to deal with James Suggs here in a minute potentially, but Kenneth Gallman having a pretty good run for himself right now in that number 71 black and yellow machine. So.
Yeah, and I think Kenneth Gallman and James Suggs, who's right behind him in the 20, I think they ran close together for a lot of the race last week in the Sim Racing Concepts preseason clash. So those drivers are getting more familiar with each other as James Suggs right on the rear bumper.
Yeah, they're
Kenneth
looking
Gallman.
like they're getting familiar with each other's body panels here. The great onboard shot, James Suggs front bumper, is trying to initiate a bit of a relationship with back in that 71 car of Kenneth Gallman. So hang in there. Grizzly. We got another Kenneth Gallman here. We got several Kenneth Gallman fans in the chat right now. We appreciate y'all showing up. A little bit of a fan club for that 71. So a little bit of that energy maybe translating into him being able to hold off that 20 car right now. We'll see how that continues, but looks like the 20 of Suggs is going to get the jump here on the inside here of that 71. Got to be careful off that corner. Talked about that being a trouble spot early on this evening, but he's going to make that pass cleanly right now.
Yeah, that's a good pass. Good pass by the 20 of Suggs right there. And it looks like
he's got the lead right now, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Johnny Rapp.
Johnny Rapp way up the track.
Evan Pienta a little bit. That was developing over the course of a couple laps, and right now Johnny is in no man's land, Chris. You can see all those marbles, all those little chunks of rubber that have been spit off those tires as they wear down a little bit. Talk to us a little bit about the dangers as we see Rye Jones really going to battle with
some contact.
James Ray, a little bit loose there. Talk to us about the danger of getting up into those marbles if you're forced to the outside.
Well, I mean, there is a danger. You know, you do pick up some marbles on these hot tires, especially as the run goes on, and you know that those marbles build up there in that top lane. But you know, I think that's just, you know, Johnny showing his patience. You know, Johnny is our defending Apex Energy Truck Series champion here in Slingshot Racing League. And one thing that got Johnny to the championship, not only winning several races like he did, but he stayed out of trouble all season. His incident points were insanely low all season. Like by far and away better than everybody else's. And that just shows you right there his mentality of, like, he was way at the track right there, and he wasn't running the people on the inside as tight as he could have been because, you know, sometimes contact happens. Netcode happens in iRacing, and, you know, if you're all up on somebody's door and contact occurs, you can't really look too far other than, you know, to think maybe I could have done something different and avoided that contact by running a little bit further away. So I think that's just Johnny being smart right there.
Speaking of contact, great battle going on for the 9th through 11th spots right now. Josh Ward was able to work his way past Larry Gibson, Tony Caputo, but that battle has not settled down too much right now as Larry Gibson in that number 76 having to deal with Tony Caputo in the 42, who is riding that back bumper pretty hard that last lap. Larry Gibson, that driver from the Midwest. I'd have to look at my stat sheet to see where Larry is from, but Larry is up 3 positions after starting in the 13th slot. Larry had a good little run there in that 76. That 6 is a little bit small, but he's still running in that 76, and things are getting settled out for that 10th and 9th position battle right now. Moving further back, Matt Kuntz in the number 12 position, number 13 car, having a pretty good run. Matt has run with us in Slingshot now for several seasons. He's just a good, consistent, kind of dependable driver who you can usually, most cases, rely on staying out of trouble. And we've seen that kind of come to fruition early on tonight, just about 25 laps in.
We might have had some issues like with the number 20 of James Suggs. He might have dropped out. So
yeah, James Suggs is out, but I saw some issues with the O2 here for just a minute as well. Let's see if we can find out what happened to that. He's not even showing up on my stat sheet anymore.
Yeah, he's gotten rolling here, so hopefully everything's okay. But yeah, unfortunately, it looks like there was a little bit of an issue with. Looks like there might have been an issue with the 20 of James Suggs, but James is actually back on track now. How about that? and maybe had a little bit of a connection issue, but he's back. Sometimes you will see that here in iRacing, and
yeah, no harm, no foul. This battle for the lead, Chris, is getting hot up front. Evan Pienta really being dogged by Johnny Rapp, but Rye Jones and James Ray, this is a battle that has not gone away, and what it's done is it's brought Scotty Sobczak in that number 81 right up to the back bumper of James Ray, that new driver for Slingshot Racing. And it's really, what are you feeling as a driver when you see a driver getting bigger in your mirror, getting closer to you? What is that doing to the way you're racing the guy in front of you?
It's just making you have a little bit more urgency of, especially if you get a chain like this right here, when you get so many of them jammed up on each other. Everybody's racing as hard as they can for every single spot, but you also begin to realize that, hey, maybe I am the one that's holding this up just a little bit, and it could be a situation where some of these drivers up towards the front, like Evan Pienta and Johnny Rapp, are not driving as hard as they can, as Rye Jones is going to look to the inside of Johnny Rapp here.
He's going to make a pass for second place here. This is going to open the door. Jones is coming up on this problem spot we saw him have trouble with last week on the exit of turn 4. He's got to be careful to keep that car straight, and it looks like he's going to do okay. James Ray is going to take that hole that's opened up by Jones and jump down the bottom of that 52 orange and black machine. Ray shoots up into the third position, Rapp back to fourth, but he's going to have his hands full with Scotty Sobczak here in the fifth position, looking to take fourth. Patrick Colby right behind them. We've got a slow car these guys are passing, but he's going to stay to the bottom for the most part. He's going to get down as low as possible. It's going to give Patrick Colby a little bit of trouble heading into that corner, but all ends well there for now.
Yeah, that was Brandon Waldrop in the 50, and he did a really nice job of just holding his line, not moving around too much, being really smooth there. As we also see Daniel Berg do the exact same thing. I know that these guys who are a little bit quicker up here at the front are very appreciative of those guys holding their line.
Absolutely, and in this battle, we see Evan Pienta kind of slipping off into the distance now, up by about 0.7 of a second on second place, but man, there's no seconds between second through sixth place here, Chris. This is a great battle. I know these drivers are probably white-knuckling it through these corners right now, single file, but even if we go further back, there's another battle kind of ensuing back in the seventh position, back to Kenneth Gallman. We know we've got some Gallman fans in the audience right now. Him and Suggs and Josh Ward are really going at it with Larry Gibson and Tony Caputo not far behind. They're going to come up on this 12 car, or this 18 car, number 12 in the sim right now, and we're going to see how they're going to navigate it. You can already see Josh Ward making that pass low on Suggs, and Larry Gibson trying to follow him through there right now as we watch Kenneth Gallman come up on the back of this 12 car.
Yeah, I feel like Josh Ward is one of the cars that we've seen make a lot of passes since the race started, but he's not charging up through the field super fast, and I think that just shows you how difficult it is to pass in these cars, as Tony Caputo makes the pass on the number 20 of James Suggs. So I think it really just emphasizes how important it is to have a good qualifying run, to make sure that you start up as close to the front as you can, so that way you don't have to pull your put a lot of stress on the tires to get up through the field like Josh is having to do here.
Yeah, so these drivers really doing as quick a work as they can, making these passes. Josh Ward, you can see, from North Carolina, having a good run tonight. Josh is up 3 positions of the evening after starting 11th in that familiar blue and kind of neon day glow yellowish green number scheme. So great run going for him. I want to point out a couple other people. I know we've got some fans of James Ray in the chat. Matthew Helm, who will be racing with us next week, I believe, wishing best of luck to James Ray. And we've got a Jordan Ives fan in the chat as well.
James Ray making a pass for second on Rye Jones right now.
Yeah, channeling some of those good vibes. I like that paint scheme, the battle of the purple and black car. Right now for second place, James Ray making quick work of Rye Jones, though, after a long battle with him earlier in the race, going on board there. Great shot. Rye Jones, that Navarre, Pensacola, Florida driver, started second. He's back to third, but he's having a great run so far, avoiding a lot of the trouble we saw him end up in last week. Right now, Scotty Sobczak making a pass for the fourth position on Johnny Rapp. getting underneath that 52 car in that 81 blue and white paint scheme.
Yeah, earlier, one thing that I noticed about Johnny is that he looked a little bit loose off of 4 compared to some of the people that were around him. And I'm not sure if that was because of how quickly he was getting back on the throttle in the center of 3 and 4, or if there's some other type of issue. But he lost some ground there earlier. I don't know if that was what caused that pass to be made, but Scotty Zobzak has really, really nice turn right in the center of the corner from everything I've seen. He looks like he can plant that left front right on the white line and keep that car turning. There is no white line down here in 3 and 4. That's one thing I wanted to mention as well. We'll actually ride on board with Scotty Sobzak since we got a little bit of time. You can see the line down here in 1 and 2. You can really judge yourself well off of that where you are on the racetrack. But down here in 3 and 4, there is no white line. It goes away before it comes back. So it's a little bit difficult to tell where the apron is sometimes. And I think some drivers had some trouble with that last week in our preseason clash.
Absolutely. But they've learned their lessons apparently.
They have.
Moving forward over the course of a week, had a little bit more time with the setup, had a little bit more time to practice using that Team 53 setup from Justin Laxton, who we're going to talk to in the booth here in a couple minutes. But I'm looking around the track, Chris, and I'm noticing things have settled down for the most part. We do have a battle going on between James Suggs and Kenneth Gallman, back and forth for the number 10th position, that final top 10 position. Right now, Suggs has the upper hand on that inside line. Kuntz, that 13, looking like he's going to take advantage of that as well.
Yeah, saw Matt Kuntz and Nick DeCesare. They fell back a little bit at the start of the race behind these guys, but I think that they are moving forward here just a little bit, maybe taking it easy on those tires at the very beginning, thinking that this race might go green, and they're right. We are 51 laps in, no cautions.
A very green flag look to it, and that leads us to the next portion of the race, guys. We got to pay the bills. We've got great partners. You've seen several of them running across the board on the bottom of the screen for a good while, pretty much the entire race right now. But we're going to take a quick side-by-side break to hear from a couple of our partners. We'll be back on the other end of the split break. Please stick around for the great racing action to follow. All right, so we are going to jump back to the action here. We do have a caution. Working on trying to figure out what happened here. Looks like potentially... Chris, I'm trying to see if we can figure out what happened. Right now, driver's coming down for tires.
Yeah, it might have actually... I don't know that I see what it is either, Ellis. It's not registered.
Yep. It's Kenneth Gallman and looks like Nick DeCesare, I believe, came together on lap 53. So right now, drivers are getting those pit stops in. They're going to get some fresh tires on those cars, but the contact came on lap 53 between Kenneth Gallman and Nick DeCesare, and that was, at the time, was a battle, I think, for the 8th or 9th position. So right now we're watching those. Look at that beautiful grid. You can see where those drivers are coming off on pit road, positions gained and lost right now. So.
Yeah. And all of these graphics that you see, all these overlays that you see are provided by Chris Pierce over at Pierce Graphics. You'll see his ad down here on the bottom bar, so make sure you check him out if you're interested in some ATVO overlays. He does a really great job. But we'll go back and we'll see if we can determine what actually occurred between Kenneth Gallman and Nick DeCesare here.
I think Gallman just got in a little bit hot.
Yeah, it's not showing up for me, so I'm going to have to go back and just rewind the old-fashioned way. But, yeah, we'll look right here.
53, and while we're doing that, we're going to reset it. I think we're right here right now, actually.
Yep. Yeah, he got in there just a little bit, and Nick DeCesare did a really nice job of keeping that thing straight.
Lee Campbell a little bit, looked like, but, yeah, he did a pretty good job keeping things together, making it a little bit more sustainable of a crash than it certainly could have been. So Lee Campbell got a little bit of damage there, I think, in that number 14, but I think those drivers are going to be able to keep on going. Hey, but Chris, big change on the pit stops here. James Ray is your new leader. Came off pit road ahead of Evan Pienta. And here's why. I believe he took 2 tires. Based on the data I'm seeing, James Ray elected to take 2 tires. He is the only driver who took 2 tires. So right now we're going to see this is going to kind of be an acid or a litmus test to see exactly all these drivers are going to be watching. Does the 2-tire strategy work? Right now we're about 58 laps into this race as drivers line up side by side getting ready to take the green flag. Pace truck's going to peel off here, and James Ray and that number 01 is going to lead him. Great jump for the 01 James Ray. We're going to see how these 2 tires hold up. Ry Jones jumping to the inside very quickly, looking to get that blue and purple Pensacola Florida machine up into second place. Evan Pienta back to third. Scotty Sobczak in fourth. Patrick Colby in fifth. Larry Gibson in sixth. Drivers are single file right now after completing that first lap at 5 flags, and everyone seems to have sorted things out fairly smoothly here for the most part after that lap 58 restart coming on the end of a lap 53 crash between Larry Gallman and Nick DeCesare.
Yeah, so Kenneth Gallman has recovered, and they are now running very close together. Nick DeCesare has recovered, and those two are... it looks like they are running 10th and 11th, but they do have a lap car between them of Clint Walker. So, it looks like everything has sorted itself out pretty nicely here on this restart. I'm going to be really curious to watch this driver right here, James Ray. He's a newcomer to Slingshot. He is working on 2 tires right now. I'll be curious to see how much different the lap times are as this run progresses here. If it really, pays any dividends to have 4 tires. We haven't really had these long runs like what we had there. Didn't have them last week in the Clash, and I'll be curious to see how it's going to work out with this car in this series this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And James Ray, that Illinois driver, Midwesterners known for kind of their mild personalities and kind personalities and friendly personalities. And hey, he raced Ry Jones and Evan Pienta pretty hard, but he got to the lead, and he has stayed there at least for the first 6 or 7 laps after the green flag for that lap 58 restart. Right now scored on lap 65. James Ray's your leader, Ry Jones second, Evan Pienta third, Scotty Sobczak fourth, Patrick Colby fifth, and Josh Ward has worked his way up into the 6th position. Scored right now as the biggest mover of the race, up 5 spots from the beginning of the race, Chris. So great job for him.
Yeah, I feel like if any driver really needed that caution, it was this guy right here, Josh Ward. Josh was on a he kind of got sort of put himself in a hole a little bit in qualifying with his qualifying run, but he looked really good. Like, he looked like he had some really good speed in that first stint. Was able to make a lot of passes. And here he is right now riding around in the 6th position. He's not too far off of the top 5 here, so we'll see what kind of laps he can put together here and if he can make a run at these guys.
Yeah, and we're actually going to take a moment here. All these drivers are driving the same setup tonight. It's a custom setup created by Team 53, who is the title sponsor of this Summer Shootout Series. We're going to bring the owner of Team 53, Justin Laxton, in to talk a little bit about what this series is about and what Team 53 is about. So we'll bring him in here while we're watching some of the live racing action. Justin Laxton, this is Ellis and Chris up in the Slingshot booth. You got a copy?
I do.
Hey, man, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I was just watching a little bit of the race on Facebook just so I kind of knew what was going on and we could see where things were at. But looks like a pretty good show tonight.
Yeah, these drivers are doing a really good job. We just had that one incident on lap 53 there just a little bit while ago. But, man, the setup you created, hey, so far it's working out pretty well. Talk to us a little bit about what kind of thought process you put into developing a setup for a late model stock car. How these cars drive and how does that affect how you set these things up?
Yeah, these things are, I mean, they're super, super gripped up right now with the sim. They're just, it doesn't even seem realistic. So you really can't get them loose unless you're really trying. It makes setting these up a little bit more difficult than the old car, just because with the old car, if you drove it in too deep, it would get loose center and you'd spin out. If you're on it too early, it would spin out on exit. This car, you can drive in 15 cars deep. Doesn't matter. You can get on at 15 cars early, and it doesn't really matter. You're just gonna have really bad tire wear. So I really just try and find something that's fairly balanced. You guys will see, I pop into league chats all the time and ask them, like, what do you guys think of the set? That type of stuff, so that I can get some feedback from the drivers and kind of tailor it more to the drivers in the league, which I think makes it a lot more fun for them. Sometimes we swing and we miss, but everybody's on the same setup, so we just kind of roll with it.
Yeah, you guys did a really good job tonight with the setup. I heard a lot of compliments from the drivers, feeling really good. Obviously, it's partially the grip hacks that iRacing is not addressed, but it's a great setup too. Talk a little bit about, I came to you for the idea with this league of essentially a league that was for everybody, but there was a particular emphasis on driver development and kind of helping drivers understand how to drive these late model stock cars on a short track. Talk about what Team 53 does and kind of why this is the perfect pairing.
Yeah, so I came from, I've been on 2 setup shops, and the primary goals of both of those setup shops was to just give, fairly decent setups, a little bit more development at the last place, but, I really didn't have the one-on-one ability. And when I took over building there, I really tried to take an emphasis on finding guys that were like, 1,000 to 1,500 I rating, and kind of holding their hand a little bit more. And over the year that I was there, I kind of developed like this game plan for like, they need X amount of help. And this really helped somebody, having my iRacing replay videos so that they could go in and watch it was a big help. And now with Team 53, one of the coolest things that we have is telemetry data that we share amongst all of our drivers and all of our team guys. So when I'm building, the guys can literally go in and see my build telemetry and see exactly what I'm doing. They can match my weather exactly. They can go in and see any adjustments that any of the guys have made in any of the sessions that they're running in, and see like, oh, this gave him a half a tenth or whatever, or if they're just burning off their right front, they can compare our telemetry data and see, oh, I'm getting on way earlier than Justin is. I need to just let it roll more.
And that's how drivers get better, right? They watch what others are doing, and they look at the throttle traces and the steering angles in the way drivers are entering the corner.
Yeah, it's all NASCAR's SMT data. You hear it if you listen to the radios. Whether you have NASCAR Discord and you hop in, or their apps or whatever. You hear it with the crew chiefs telling the drivers like, so and so is driving in 5 car lengths deeper than you are. Drive harder. They're turning their wheel in earlier, that type of stuff. So that's really kind of the stuff that we focus on. And then the other component is like, I firmly believe that all of my drivers and everybody who spends a season with me should be able to finish their season and know how to adjust on a car. They should know, how to make a car a little bit looser, how to make a car tighter, what in-car adjustments they can make when they're running if they're in a race and they can't make any big adjustments, whether it's brake bias, whether it's changing your line, whatever that might be. Those are the things that we really focus on. It's not so much here's a setup, go fast. I feel like those days on iRacing have come and gone. Like, all the fast guys have setups, and most of the fast guys aren't giving you the setup that they're actually running. And that's really what sets us apart.
That's awesome, man. And if anyone wants to be part of that and to do that season and to get that development, they can check you out at facebook.com/team53WI, the abbreviation for Wisconsin. Is that kind of the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, that's our only way really right now. They can hop on there and then just send the page a message. I'm happy to respond. We're always looking for more leagues to help out too. So if somebody's got a league out there that, is like, hey, this would be really cool. We build all 5 short track cars. I built asphalt sprints in the past and Silver Crown cars. So we're happy to add those if we have to as well.
Awesome. Well, hey, before we let you go tonight, any drivers that you're rooting for, kind of observations you're making as you watch this race? I know we've got a couple of your drivers in the series this year.
Yeah, Larry Gibson. I always root for him. He helps me out with my real car too. So he's definitely one that we always cheer for. These guys got one heck of a battle going on here, side by side. I'm probably a little delayed because I'm on Facebook, but yeah, they're wheeling it tonight.
Yeah, these drivers are doing an amazing job so far. We've seen everyone stay out of trouble for the most part. So, hey, man, thanks for joining us tonight. Justin Laxon from Team 53 Setups, driver development program. You can get in touch with them based on that.
Oh, we got a car around.
In the ad, yep.
Oh, no, Larry, come on.
Oh, no.
You talked about him, and he felt the pressure. He felt the pressure. So Larry Gibson having some issues here.
They're still wrecking.
Number 93. Several cars going to be involved in this wreck. Let's see if we can find out what happened.
Yeah, we'll our session events aren't really working that well tonight, but we'll just rewind the good old-fashioned way. Looked to me like Larry Gibson peeking to the inside. We were just talking about him, and he and Josh Ward get together, and Josh does a pretty nice job of getting it going, but unfortunately on short tracks, sometimes this happens afterwards. We have a little bit of a pileup. Looked like the 42 of Tony Caputo came in there. I'm not sure how much damage to the 42, but yeah, that's unfortunate that happened there with Larry and Josh.
But they're going to work it out. We'll get it settled out. Hey, Justin, we appreciate you stopping by. We're going to let you go and enjoy the rest of the race, man.
Yeah, definitely. Have a great night, guys.
Appreciate
you too. So right now, drivers are headed down pit road after that lap number 94 incident between Larry Gibson and Josh Ward. Two of our front runners who are running the top 6 or 7 positions. I don't know if we're going to have a lot of 4 tire takers, Chris, here. I think last time was a case study in seeing that you don't necessarily have to take 4 tires. I'm actually missing James Ray back to 7th.
Yeah, I think that James has come... has hit the pit road here. That's, yeah, his second stop. He took 4 tires. I think that when it shakes out, James is probably going to find himself maybe in the 5th position.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the top 4 right now. Evan Pienta looks like he took 4. Rye Jones in second took 4. Johnny Rapp took 4. Matt Kuntz, I'm seeing, might have taken none. Very least might have taken 2 right side tires based on the telemetry I'm seeing from his pit stop. Spent about 18.5 seconds on pit road. So that's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out as he moves up into the 4th position in that number 13 car, Chris. So I'm going to take a look, see if I can take a look here at how much time he spent on pit road. Did he miss his pit stop?
I don't know if he actually came to pit road that time. I think that was from before, from the previous stint. No, I think you're right. He did come. He must have missed his pit stall.
I think he missed his pit stall.
Or he, like you said, he took fuel only. But I don't think there's really a need to take fuel only. It doesn't show that he actually stopped in the box. So that might have been the situation. And, you know, it's a little bit different on pit road than it is like in a NASCAR vehicle. In a NASCAR vehicle, you've got like your numbered pit board. You don't have that in these late model stocks. So it could be a situation where maybe he just wasn't used to what he was going to see on pit road this time, and we'll have to see how that works out.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, the leaders stack back up for a lap 98 restart. Pace car is going to peel off. Evan Pienta is going to lead him down, choosing that high line, Chris. I don't necessarily think that's a bad choice. He gets a great jump here on Rye Jones, starting in that 2nd position. Matt Kuntz is going to drop back to 3rd with Johnny Rapp going by on the inside, and James Ray is probably going to follow him through and thread that needle there to pick up the 4th position. All these top 4 drivers, I believe, on the same tire strategy at this point. Scotty Sobczak also. Matt Kuntz is really kind of in trouble here, Chris. We expected to see this. We know that he missed his pit stall. So right now, he's probably just trying to get out of the way as best as possible. He's probably about 50 lap older tires than the rest of these drivers that came down for that fresh rubber on lap number 96 or so.
Yeah, and, you know, we got a battle right now for the 3rd position, it looks like. James Ray, who is on the freshest tires of anybody right up here at the front. James Ray and Scotty Sobczak both came to pit road that time to take 4 tires. We'll see how they're able to charge up through here and see how it works out.
Thought he was going to be clear here for a second, but he thought better of it and gave Johnny Rapp a little bit of room on that outside. We almost had an incident there.
Yeah, and side by side now between Scotty Sobczak and Johnny Rapp, and Sobczak has got that bottom working on those fresh tires and is going to complete the pass.
Patrick Colby looking to see if he can take advantage of that hole that number 81 car opened up. He's going to jump down there, and it looks like Johnny Rapp's going to be slotted back into the 6th position when all is said and done here if Matt Kuntz doesn't have a say about that. But we know Matt's kind of struggling on those tires, being a little bit older after missing his pit stall early. So right now we're on lap 104 out of 150, just 45 laps remaining here roughly in the Apex Energy 150. Evan Pienta is scored as your leader. Rye Jones in second. James Ray is the car we've been keeping an eye on. He feels like he's had probably the fastest car in the field tonight. Fell back a little bit after coming to take tires, but he is up into the 3rd position, Chris. Scotty Sobczak. Now he's going for second as we watch this battle for second between Rye Jones. It's not going to be much of a battle as James Ray makes his way into the 2nd position and sets his eyes on that blue and black number 55 of Evan Pienta. Scotty Sobczak going to follow him through into the 3rd place right now. That is the closest racing action on track right now. Look at the field, see if we got anything else going on. Looks like there might be a battle between James Suggs and Nick DeCesare here. Suggs working the back bumper of DeCesare in the 9th position. Battled for 9th. You see that yellow and white paint scheme really charging hard against that number 13 black car of Matt Kuntz.
Yeah, Suggs on the back bumper of Kuntz here, and Matt is a little bit, like we mentioned before, he's on those older tires. James Suggs is on fresher tires right here, so we'll see if he can complete this pass. We'll put up
Battle
the top
for the
10.
lead is shaping up, like you just were about to mention, I believe.
Yeah, we'll look at these lap times here, and you'll notice that Ray, Sobczak, those guys really, really fast. Evan Pienta not doing a bad job either on those tires, so... but you can see the turn right in the center of the corner of that 0-1 of James Ray. That car can cut to the bottom. It's almost like he's diamonding the corner just a little bit as he's all over the back bumper of Evan Pienta.
Close. A lot of throttle control there not to get into the back of Evan Pienta and upset the back end of that car right now. James Ray does it cleanly. The driver from Illinois in that 0-1 makes a pass for the lead. Evan Pienta doing his best to hang tight in those marbles on the outside line, but he's not going to be able to shut the door on Scotty Sobczak, who is going to pull up to the back bumper of this 0-1 if he has any say in it, Chris. He's having a good run. We've seen him be pretty strong in these late model cars and pretty much everything else that Slingshot Racing has run in the past season or two.
Yeah, you know, it's going to be interesting if we get a caution late in the going here, because I think that James Ray might possibly only have one more set of left side tires in the pits, if I remember correctly.
That is something to consider, absolutely. You got guys who probably have a full set left who are sitting on that waiting for a caution, but Chris, with 37 laps, time is running out for that caution. Hey, we mentioned Scotty Sobczak. We're trying to do a new feature during the races this year where we ask some drivers some particular questions and let them take their best shot to answer so we can get to know a little bit about them. Let's go ahead and hear from Scotty Sobczak, the driver of that number 81 car, in our Driver of the Race feature, presented by Sim Racing Tech.
What's up, Slingshot Racing? This is Scott Sobczak answering 5 questions in 45 seconds. What is your job outside of sim racing? I own a auto parts store in California, small business here in the middle of nowhere. Chocolate or vanilla? Vanilla, 100%. I think a bad vanilla is better than the best chocolate. First real life race you remember watching? I don't remember on TV necessarily, but in person, when I was a kid, I got to go to the practice session at Sonoma back in like 97, I want to say. That was my first time. Best condiments to put on a hot dog? Chili, onions, relish. Favorite racetrack to race at? I would have said Old Atlanta, but I think this year that might change to Darlington. It's kind of like the road course track of circle track racing, and then you're racing the track more than the other guys out there. And it's pretty challenging.
Chris, you a vanilla man or a chocolate man?
I agree with Scott. I am 100% a vanilla guy, and I really like his condiments on a hot dog. I think that's the only way to eat one. Some chili, some onions. Yeah.
Some interesting choices there.
Yeah.
I can't say that I necessarily agree, but that's another conversation for another time. Right now, the racing tonight has been anything but vanilla. Right now, a great battle going on between the 71 and the 14, all the way back for, I'm looking for the position this is for, why can't I find it? The 11th position. Actually, that's not for the 11th position. I'm sorry. A couple lap cars working their way through.
Yeah, I think Lee Campbell right here on the lead lap in the 11th position, but Kenneth Gallman is going past him in the number 71.
The best action looking like right now it's going to be the battle for 5th that is shaping up between Rye Jones, Johnny Rapp. And how about James Suggs? Driver that 20 has found himself sitting in the 7th position. Yeah. You know, he's got some fans watching, so shout out to them.
James Suggs is a driver on 2 tires right now, I do believe. He came to pit road with James Ray and Scotty Sobczak, but he took 2 tires instead of taking 4.
Yeah, so he's hanging tough though. Pretty good sledding here for the number 20 car, yellow and white car of James Suggs. Hey, Gran Torino Sport says Scotty is the smoothest driver out there. So a couple people just really reveling in the great driving Scotty Sobczak has put on over the course of a couple seasons with Slingshot Racing. Right now, though, Rye Jones better have some good driving up his sleeves as he deals with the front bumper of that number 52 Mission Barbecue. Late model stock of Johnny Rapp battle for 5th position right now. Several drivers really kind of under a blanket right now as they cross through turn number 4. Crossing the start-finish line. 127 of 150 as we got about 24 laps left in this race. Right now, James Ray has jumped out to a 7/10 of a second lead. Scott Sobczak not really letting him get away too far, though, after they made that pass on Evan Pienta. Patrick Colby, Chris, sitting in the 3rd position. Good run for him going. So we watch this battle really continue to boil, though, between these drivers back for 5th position.
Yeah, and, you know, if you're Rye Jones, if you're Evan Pienta, Johnny Rapp, if you're these guys who are still sitting here with a set of tires in the pits, you need the caution like 5 laps ago. You got to have it come out soon because you got to have time to work your way through the field as we see Larry Gibson working to the inside of Rye Jones. Rye way up the track right here, and you know, as these laps tick by, obviously you're losing chances to take tires, but also you're losing laps where you can charge up through the field.
That's the thing. If you get a restart with 5 to go, those fresh tires aren't going to be worth as much as a restart. Oh, really loose. Rye Jones, same trouble spot we saw him have issues with last week, but he's going to hang on to it here. Rye Jones back to 7th position, really loose off that corner exit of turn 4, but lucky for all the drivers around, Jones is going to hang on to it in that number 91 car, still dealing with Nick DeCesare back there, just trying to hang tight. Jones really struggling right now. That car has really taken a turn for the worse. We can see Nick DeCesare tried to make that pass, but Rye Jones slammed the door pretty shut there. Josh Ward going to duck underneath now. DeCesare to take advantage of that issue.
Nick was a really, really nice guy there. He could have kept his nose in there, and we would have had contact between those two. But he lifted, gave him a chance to straighten it back out. But unfortunately, he got passed by Josh Ward in the process. Unfortunately, Josh Ward is a lap down right now, so that's a driver right there who's hoping for a caution so he can get that free pass.
Yep, and we do have free passes going to the car that is the first car a lap down. So, but I tell you what, who's not a lap down right now is James Ray, who is fighting through some lap traffic of cars. He is either putting a lap down or going multiple laps down, and right now doing a masterful job getting through that traffic, Chris. Those guys on the outside really being courteous and respectful, kind of by the book, the way we expect in Slingshot Racing League, doing a great job of getting out of the way for these leaders that are coming by.
Yeah, they really are. They're doing a nice job, and the way things look right now, you know, James Ray is currently he's looking really, really smart with that tire call. He's currently in the in the catbird seat, if you will, unless a caution comes out. And if a caution does come out, I don't know
There's
if
only
these guys
15 laps to go.
I don't know if these guys have enough time to charge up through the field.
Yeah, there's only 15 laps to go, and we'll be keeping an eye on that. He continues to pull away about a second and 3/10 right now. Hey, we got some Daniel Berg fans on the chat right now. Daniel having a good run, sitting in the 14th position in that number 12 car right now. Kind of minding his own business, keeping to himself tonight, but doing a pretty good job. Just a lap down right now for Daniel Berg in that 12 PPG car. I like that paint scheme. That black and white looks really good together with those kind of orange and yellowish numbers. So good to see newcomer to Slingshot Racing, Daniel Berg, bringing a little bit of a crowd with him, having a good run in 14th. It's always nice to have people watching the race kind of supporting you, whether or not you know they're watching it or not. The energy's there for sure. Daniel Berg's had a lot of energy in the chat tonight. So good on him. We appreciate those fans tuning in right now. The distance between James Ray and Scott Sobczak, Chris, is not getting any smaller with about 10 laps to go here from Five Flag Speedway in the season opening Apex Energy 150 for the Team 53 Summer Shootout. Right now, this race is all James Ray, but a caution could come out at any moment. Patrick Colby having a good run in third. We talked to Patrick Colby, caught up with him over the last week or so, and he had some connection issues last week. There might have been an incidental boot from race control. But what he told me, Chris, is he was having a really good run. And what he found was just seeing that he could run well boosted his confidence immensely. And we're seeing that translate, I think, into this third place podium run he's got going tonight. Larry Gibson having a good run. Another Team 53 driver sitting in the fourth position. I know Justin Laxton would be proud. Larry has had some issues tonight, but he's fought back to stay in the thick of things and recover in fourth position. Up 9 positions, Chris, after starting in the 13th slot. Really good run. Biggest mover of the race so far.
Yeah, he's done a really nice job all night long right here. He made the right call with that strategy move earlier.
All right, so Rye Jones having some issues. Not really sure what happened to the driver of that number 91. See if we can figure it out real quick. Just about 5 laps left in the race, but he had some issues. Definitely, I believe, trying to figure out what driver that was. That was either Nick DeCesare or Matt Kuntz, I believe. Nick DeCesare and him having some issues just a little while ago. So that's going to end Rye Jones's night, but hey, right now, all James Ray up at the front. Scott Sobczak continues to lose ground on the driver of that number 01, that slingshot newcomer James Ray. Illinois driver. 4 to go in the Apex Energy 200. Now 3 to go in the Apex Energy 200 from Slingshot Racing and the Team 53 Summer Shootout. Chris, it's been all James Ray. Once he got that lead on that 2-tire strategy early on, he's kind of had control of the race. So
yeah, he took 2 tires earlier, took 4 tires on this last pit stop here, and that proved to be the move right there. He was able to get through the field, and right here, he's coming to the white flag.
Coming to the white flag, absolutely. He's got a couple lap cars to work his way through, but Scott Sobczak is nowhere to be seen right now. This is all James Ray. Just about 2 more corners for James Ray. Hey, it was a night race in the Sunshine State, but there were some Rays on the track tonight. James Ray is going to claim the season opener here at Five Flag Speedway in the Apex Energy 200. Scotty Sobczak going to bring home a second place finish. Patrick Colby in the final podium position in third. Great run for James Ray. We mentioned he's from Illinois. He got it done cleanly tonight. We mentioned aggression being something to be keeping an eye on. I didn't see a lot of that out there from James Ray tonight. So you can get the job done without moving people out of the way. Congratulations to James Ray on the season opening victory as we watch him do some burnouts on the front stretch here at Five Flags. We're going to speak with him, Scotty Sobczak, and Patrick Colby here in just a moment. But before we do that, we're going to get back to that initial ad play we tried to do for just about a minute to make sure our partners who make all this possible get the love that they deserve. All right, and we are back live at the Five Flag Speedway. We're going to catch up with our top 3 finishers. We'll start with third place Patrick Colby, Slingshot Booth, Ellison Chris. You got a copy?
I got you guys.
Hey man, you're up in New England right now, and I know it's pretty chilly up there. I think. What was the weather today there?
We had about 70s, a little bit of sprinkle here and there, but
man.
all in all, pretty nice day.
That's not bad. That's not too far off from Florida weather. So talk to us a little bit. Congratulations on that third place finish. I know we talked a little bit during the week, and you had mentioned that despite some technical issues last week, maybe getting booted accidentally, you had a strong run going last week, and that confidence kind of translated, I think, over into tonight. So talk about what you feel like you did that made you kind of a strong runner tonight.
Learned a little bit about braking and getting off the corner, wrapping the bottom, and also kind of the big thing that did me in last week was tire strategy. So figuring out that 4 tires are better than none this week, certainly with that last 50 whatever laps we did was I think the ultimate difference maker between the top 3 and maybe 5th.
Talk to us a little bit about that tire strategy at the end. I know that it seemed like James Ray picked the right strategy. What do you feel like? Do you feel like you could have done anything differently?
Nah, he was just too fast all night long. I couldn't keep the right front on the car as much as I would want to, so Scott kind of started driving away there towards the end of that run, and he was just lightning fast all night. He got that track position, and man, it's hard to get around the leader here.
Absolutely. Hey, but you did a good job of threading your way through the field, man. You picked up 2 spots after a strong 5th place finish. Didn't have much to climb, but still a really good job. Hey, any shout outs you want to throw out there before we let you go for tonight?
Yeah, just shout out my fiance. She's always watching and supporting me, and I know she had a little bit of a medical issue this past week, so I appreciate her and all of her support. And
we'll be thinking about her as well.
Definitely.
Awesome, man. Well, good luck next week. We'll talk to you before then, and yeah, congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so that was Patrick Colby, our 3rd place finisher. We're going to hear from Scotty Sobzak, our 2nd place finisher. We'll bring him into the booth right now. He is here.
Scotty Sobzak. This is Ellison Chris in the Slingshot booth. You got a copy, bud?
Hey, I got you.
Hey, man. So all night long, Ellis and I were mentioning how you looked like you were rolling the bottom probably better than anybody else. You were about, it seemed like a quarter to half a car length lower than everybody in the center of the corner. Talk to us a little bit about your run out there. Are you pleased with your 2nd place finish tonight?
Yeah, I mean, not too bad after qualifying. Not as well as I was hoped to. I mean, I'll take a 2nd place here. James was tough to beat, and that was a fun race. Honestly, there's a little bit of everything, and we only had a few cautions, so it was pretty fun. I was surprised to see a couple of the guys in front not take 4 tires there at the last caution. I thought that would have been the way to go, no matter where you were at in the race. But it worked out for us, so I just didn't have the pace to get catch up to first.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit about that tire move right there. We were talking about it as well, and I think the thing that Ellis and I were mentioning more than anything was even if a caution did come out, not sure if there was enough time for those guys to charge up through the field. Was that your thinking as well? Like even if you did hold on to those tires for a possible later caution, that maybe you wouldn't have the time to get through the field?
Yeah, just short track racing, bunch of cars on the track. It's going to be hard to get around everybody. You put yourself in a bad position for a wreck potentially. And I thought you'd see guys take 2 tires, and it worked early for James, and he was able to hold everybody off. So I was surprised that wasn't going to be the strategy for the other guys up front. So a little surprised on that, but I'm glad we came in, and then it was kind of a matter of time, but a little bit of a gamble, and it worked out for us.
Well, hey, man, you were fast all night. You did a really nice job bringing home a great, solid 2nd place finish. Any shout-outs that you want to give before we let you go tonight?
Yeah, thanks to you guys for hosting the broadcast. My wife Alex not feeling too well tonight. Baby Junebug, Mr. Figs, Remy, Pine Mountain Auto Supply. Thanks to everyone there, and thanks for you guys.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Appreciate it. We'll be thinking about your wife as well.
All right, have a good one.
Thanks. Yes, sir. All right, so that was Scotty Sobzak we heard from. We are now going to bring in our winner, James Ray, into the broadcast booth. James Ray, this is Ellis and Chris in the Slingshot booth. You got a copy, my friend?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, first of all, congratulations are in store. First official race with Slingshot Racing, and you're 1 for 1, essentially. So we talked about in the pre-race broadcast that coming out making a statement victory tonight's going to be important, kind of dictating the rest of the season. You put drivers on notice, and I think everyone's probably on notice now that you're going to be tough to handle over the course of the next 5 races of the season. I know that we talked a little bit about in the Discord. You're wondering how many drivers are going to show up. A little bit less than I thought we would have tonight, but I don't think it would have mattered how many drivers were here tonight, man. You had the right call. You had the speed. Talk to us a little bit about the mentality that you had coming into this race. First race of the season, first race with a new group of guys. Kind of what was your thought process going in?
Biggest thing was just try to race them hard and give it respect, try to earn some respect, because you guys hasn't raced with me and we got to learn each other. So but I think I did that. I hope I did at least. Hope I didn't make anybody mad or make any bad moves on anyone.
No, man, I was commenting all night long. Illinois driver drives like I would imagine an Illinois driver would drive like. Respectful, friendly. You didn't really move anyone out of the way that we saw. So, you made a statement. You didn't have to wreck anyone or race anyone, unfairly to get it done. So kudos on that. Now the bigger story is the tires. The pit strategy, I think you had the speed all night, but the pit strategy definitely played into your hands and I think kind of propelled you ultimately to the victory. Talk about the thought process that went into that gutsy call of 2 tires about 50 laps in.
Every time I ran these, I've always thought 2 tires felt pretty good in them. I mean, I know 150 laps is longer than official races is, but I thought it was turning pretty good, and I kind of was using them up on the throttle. So I was like, if I get 2 right sides, we'll see how it does. And then I got out front and was able to pace myself, and it helps a lot better when I ain't trying to chase somebody. When you can set your own pace and kind of watch your relative where they're at and kind of dictate if I got to get more throttle on or off and save a little bit if I had to wait till the end.
Yeah, man. Well, you made it work. I think, like I said, no matter what strategy would have been called tonight, I think you had the field covered, at least with a lot of speed tonight. So congratulations. Welcome to Slingshot Racing. We're super excited and thrilled to have you. Can't wait to see what you're going to do the rest of the season, man. Any shout-outs before we let you go?
My painter, Adrenaline Spikes Designs, I asked him about a week ago. I was like, hey, I got this league coming up. I need this car. He's like, I got you. Within like 24 hours, I had this car sent back to me and ready to go. So he never fails me. And I've been with him for about, I don't know, since 2016. So as long as I keep putting his cars in victory lane, I'll get his name out there.
Awesome, man. Hey, we appreciate you. Go out and celebrate. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, right. So you heard from the top 3 finishers with James Ray there, our winner tonight, that 01 car. Great race, Chris. I think James said it perfectly. I think it's actually Scotty who said it. We saw a lot of different things tonight. This race kind of had everything. It had close side-by-side action. It had some pretty good strategy calls going on. We saw a couple wrecks that brought the field back together. This was a great way to start the season. We've talked a long time about doing these late model stock leagues. We've kind of been a little bit hesitant, but we pulled the trigger for a short season this summer, man, and we found Team 53 as a partner, and I don't think it could have gone any better to start things out.
No, it was a great night of racing, and a really clean night of racing too. I really enjoyed the long green flag runs that we had, and you get a little bit worried about that with a short track late model season like this. And hey, I thought it was great. Some interesting calls on strategy, and James Ray, Slingshot newcomer, brings home the victory tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see the session results there. We talked to our top 3. Larry Gibson had a good finish in 4th. James Suggs in 5th. Nick DeCesare with some contact with Rye Jones towards the end of the race, finished at 6th. Johnny Rapp ended up finishing 7th. Evan Pienta, after a really strong showing at the beginning, I think tire strategy did just not work out in Evan Pienta's favor. After winning the Clash last week, he's not able to repeat this week, but he'll be back next week, I'm sure, to put on a strong showing. Matt Kuntz finished 9th. Josh Ward's going to be your 10th position finisher. Kenneth Gallman, we saw him kind of up and down. We had a lot of fans for Kenneth in the race tonight in the chat. Finishes 11th place. Daniel Berg, I know Dan had some chat fans in there as well. So strong showing for Daniel in 12th position. Lee Campbell, really good job. Lee started 14th. He finished 13th. He was consistent all night long. Clint Walker, couple issues earlier in the race, brings it home 14th. Rye Jones, I think is probably one of the bigger stories of the night, Chris. We saw him have a lot of speed, running second, third, much of the race, but he just couldn't seal the deal. He had some contact there late in the race. Sure, he's going to be excited to move on to next week and to kind of forget this week. Brandon Waldrop finished 16th. Jordan Ives 17th. Tony Caputo going to bring it home in 18th.
And Ellis Thomas in 19th.
Yeah, right. I should have forgot to enter as a spectator rather than a driver. But hey, next week. There's always next week, and that's what a lot of these drivers are going to be saying. There's always next week. Chris, it's going to be a great season. Tomorrow night, however, we've got some more racing action headed your way on the same channel in the 87 NASCARs, taken to Daytona with the Apex Energy Throwback Series. It's going to be a really, really, really interesting race. Those cars do not race like newer generation stock cars around Daytona, so there's going to be a lot of action. Slingshots, maybe, out on the track to keep an eye on. The namesake of Slingshot Racing League, so you can check out all that action tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, same time as the race was tonight. Hey, just a quick run through, thanking all of our partners that have been running through the bottom of the screen all night, whether it's Evan Pienta Designs, whether it is UD Awards, who, by the way, great new trophy from UD Awards
let's take a look at that
we've got for this season. We'll throw it up on the screen. I contacted Chris over at UD Awards and said, hey, man, I'm going to leave you to this to figure out what something simple but clean would look like for this series, and this is what we came up with. Nice piece of oak with kind of a three-dimensional series logo on it. 2023 champion. That's going to go to one of these drivers. Right now, James Ray's looking like the favorite after tonight, but we'll see how things shape up next week, Chris. All of our partners, awesome. We brought on Sim Racing Concepts, Sim Racing Tech. I'm not going to forget anyone here. I'm trying to remember everyone else we've got on board. Obviously, Evan Pienta Designs, Apex Energy, Team 53, everyone involved that makes this league possible. We are eternally grateful for all of them. Check them out. And, check us out tomorrow night. Everyone, thanks for tuning in to Slingshot Racing and the Team 53 Late Model Summer Shootout. James Ray is your winner of race 1 of 6. We'll catch you tomorrow night and next week. Have a great night, everybody.